Court is calling 2023 CR 4059, State of Texas versus Alvo Lafayette Tucker III. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Garrahan, Your Honor.
For the defense?
Michael DeLeon for Mr. Tucker.
And are you Mr. Tucker?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
All right. Did you review the document entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Are you the same Alvo Lafayette Tucker III who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2023 CR 4059 for the offense of burglary of a habitation force on June 20th, 2023 for a period of 8 years? Is that you?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, state, which allegations are you proceeding on?
On violating condition number 2 at the top, Your Honor.
Yes.
On or about the 4th day of August 2023 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant Alvo Lafayette Tucker III, the defendant may or failed to submit his best testimony as directed by the court officer, supervision officer, and or duly authorized agent of the court in violation of condition number 2.
How do you plead to that, true or not true?
True, Your Honor.
We'll waive the remaining violated conditions.
All right, did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 2, the court could find it true, grant the motion, sentence you up to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find violation of condition number 2 true. Is there a proposed agreement?
No, there is not, Your Honor.
State, what are you requesting?
We're requesting adjudication and revocation.
All right. Defense, what are you requesting?
Judge, we're asking that Mr. Tucker be placed back on deferred adjudication. I'd like to place him under oath so I can ask him some questions so we can enlighten the court with what's going on in his life.
All right, can you raise your right hand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Alvo Lafayette Tucker III.
All right, defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Tucker, how are you employed right now?
I'm currently have my own lawn care service through a business partner. He has a successful roofing company.
Okay. How long you been doing that type of work?
Well, it's I've been doing this type of work for some years, but owning my own, it's still new, but it's successful as of now.
Okay. You got placed on deferred adjudication back, I think, in September of last year. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell the court what is going on that caused you to not report for the months of, I believe it was August and whatever the months we just talked about?
Yes, sir. Oh, at that time, I did not have a successful lawn care service. I was doing roofing, but it was by contract only. So if I made a sale, I would get paid. It wasn't like an everyday payout.
And why didn't you report?
I had a lot of things going on. Places to live and just being ignorant, I guess. There's no other way around it.
I don't understand why not pick up the phone and call probation.
I didn't have a phone at the time. And I did reach out to Ms. Smith several times. I've talked to her. I've went in, but I was never asked to submit a urine sample.
And how often did you report to probation? Roughly.
Whenever she would call, I would go in and report. I would report. I think it was just twice or something like that I missed. I'm not sure.
Okay, and if you were placed back on deferred adjudication, what assurances does the court have that you're going to be actually following the rules of probation, reporting every month, doing what you're supposed to be doing? What has changed since last year?
Financially, I'm more capable of completing the payment out, and I know it's actually really serious. It's serious. I took it for granted, and I understand now the consequences that are against me. And if placed back on probation, I'm gonna make it my first obligation to take care of that and to see it through the end.
And how long have you been incarcerated for?
4 weeks.
4 weeks. Okay. Anything else you want to tell the judge about why you should be placed back on deferred adjudication?
Well, just to see my business through that I just got going up and going, and get home to my family and complete this probation. My dad always told me, God's never gonna put anything on me that I can't handle. I think I can handle it, and I'm ready to see it through. If you're willing, that I'm gonna do that.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
State.
So what changed from September of last year to today? You now can handle it because of you, they explained everything to you
Yes.
about how to be on probation and what you
Yes.
got to do and the severity of facing 2 to 20 years. So what's the biggest difference?
Well, the biggest difference is now I know I have a base income because I actually am in charge of what I can do and what to give.
So you're just saying your employment is the only difference from back in September of last year to today?
No, not just employment, just my mindset too. And
Your mindset now.
Yes, sir. The severity of the situation.
So your mindset wasn't correct last December when you didn't report, or January or February or March or April and May of this year that you didn't report. But now it's changed.
Well, it was set, but it's just sometimes I forgot or didn't just call in, but
And why did you forget?
I had other things going on. Probably was like on a roof or doing something.
That was more important.
Well, I can't say it's more important because this is very important. Yeah, I do understand that.
I mean, allegations are here that you also committed 2 other different crimes. You didn't plead true to that, but that's the allegations. That were you arrested for those 2 crimes?
No, sir.
You weren't arrested for
No,
those? Okay. That they happened on January 14th, 2024?
I'm thinking so, not sure.
No further questions, John.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Judge, lastly, Mr. Tucker, you talked about with the prosecutor that you're employed now, you have the ability to be employed,
Yes,
to make money, to do what you have to do on probation.
yes,
You were only on for a couple of months before, you didn't report, that type of thing.
so,
So once again, I just want to make sure you're clear with the court. What has changed that's going to allow you to be successful on your deferred? If you're placed back on deferred adjudication.
everything has changed. I'm just wanting to do the right thing and complete it out.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, any other questions? All right, this is what the court is gonna do. I'm gonna give you a choice. Here are your choices. 1, I can revoke you and I'll sentence you to prison for 3 years. You receive credit for any time served. 2, I will continue you, but you're gonna be found guilty. I'm revoking your deferred adjudication. And the revocation of your deferred adjudication is punishment. Because you need to understand that you're not allowed to do whatever you want to do.
Correct.
So it will be a guilty conviction either way. But I'm not going to allow you to remain on deferred.
So,
Do you wish to speak to your attorney?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we step back for a moment, Judge?
Yes. Mr. Tucker, have you had a chance to confer with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And Mr. Dillion?
Judge, we want to take the option that puts him back on probation. He believes he will be successful on that and wants that opportunity. We'd ask the court to potentially put him on for probation for the next 40 years. Up to the court, of course.
All right. This is what the court is going to do. Court is finding violation of condition number 2 true. The court will find you guilty. The court will sentence you to 10 years in the prison. State any input as to the length of probation?
Judge, state of your
All right. And defense, I know you're recommending 2.
4, Judge.
I'm sorry, 4.
Reasonable.
All right. Court will sentence you to 10 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 10 years. Of course, if everything is completed, then you can always come back to the court. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. There's to be regular random UAs, proof of employment within 30 days, no employment as a home health care provider with minors. He's to do the trauma assessment. I see that was what was recommended. That's to be done in custody. Transfer to Victoria County.
Is that correct? Where do you live in Berry County?
I'm gonna live in Bear County.
All right.
I live here.
All right, then no transfer to Victoria County. There's to be no contact with the complainant.
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry, State, you may be excused. There's to be field visits one time per month for 3 months. And that'll be after release from GPS. And GPS, that will be partial for employment. And that will be through work release. And I'll ask that fees are waived. So on GPS, you're only allowed to work and report to your probation officer. That is it.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not allowed to go to the grocery store. You're going to have to do Uber Eats or whatever else, or have somebody else do it for you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, probation. Is there anything else?
How long is the GPS, Judge?
We're going to do GPS for 90 days. And then after, yes.
We be asking for a no contact order with Target and Live Oak.
All right, there's to be no contact with Target. Do you say Target in Live Oak or the Target in Live Oak?
Target and Live Oak.
All right. What we're going to do is you're just not able to go to Target.
Right. I can't go anywhere anyway, remember?
Or as people say, Target. So there's to be no contact with Target. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right. And then there will be GPS for the 90 days. And then probation. After those 90 days are up, then you can start the home visits if you choose. All right. Is there anything else? All right. Did you review the trial court certification of defendant's rights to appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it? You have a limited right to appeal. That right to appeal is as it relates to the allegations in the motion, not the fact that you were in deferred adjudication. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, we can go off the record. I don't do zero tolerance. Either you're gonna do right or you're not.
I understand.
Do not come back here. If you come back here, you're looking at a maximum of 10 years in the prison. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You had better make sure that you report when you're supposed to report. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
I like you a lot, but I'm not gonna see you again in here.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, court is calling 2023 CR 10004 State versus Tyler Ashbaugh. Can our parties announce for the record for the state? Defense,
Nathaniel Navy for Mr. Ashbaugh.
and are you Mr. Ashbaugh?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, defense has filed a motion to amend conditions of bond. State, have you had a chance to review that?
I spoke with defense counsel about it.
All right, state, do you have any objections? All right, defense, you may proceed.
Yes, Judge. So essentially, we would just be asking for two things. Number one is to amend Mr. Ashbaugh's current conditions from GPS full house arrest to GPS partial to allow him to work. And just a little bit of background behind that, Judge. We understand that the allegation is serious. However, Mr. Ashbaugh has been on GPS full house arrest for 2 years at this point. The case was pending an intake for quite a while. He has had no recorded violations of his GPS monitoring device. With Mr. Ashbaugh being on full GPS house arrest, he's had to live with his father to help support him. His father is older, in his 70s. He lives there with his wife and their daughter as well. This has placed not only a immense financial burden on Tyler and his wife, as they've had to move in with his father because Tyler can't work, but also on Tyler's father, who is now in his 70s, having to work extra and stress more about their finances. Tyler would like to have the ability to set up an interview and hopefully get hired somewhere and work to help contribute for his family, his children, his legal expenses, just to ease the burden not only on himself, but on his family as well, Judge. And as I've come in front of you before on another time on this case, I said, any little allowance you've given Tyler to do something, he's never abused the court's trust in this case since it's been pending on bond. And I think that will continue. He obviously takes this case very seriously. He takes his pretrial conditions of bond very seriously, as our evidence that he has had no violation since he's been on this monitor. The second thing that we would be asking for is the ability to go to, I forget the name of the hospital. What was that? Stone Oak Methodist Hospital when his wife is due. She's due at the end of this month, but from talking to them, it may be sooner. Obviously, and I maybe seek the court's guidance as well with how to word this on GPS if you were to consider it and grant it, Judge. But for a one-time, and I don't know if it's to say tracking or one-time ability to go to the hospital, because it's going to be hard to schedule this. I think, just knowing from my experience, if I tried to schedule it, I think he would miss it. Or if he tried to schedule it, I think he would probably miss the birth. So just a one-time ability to go to this hospital, stay there until she's discharged, and then come home whenever that is. Obviously, pretrial services would have the address of the hospital ahead of time. He could even give them notice as he's about to go. But I think if he had to try to get permission and schedule it, he may miss it. But maybe if there was some way to say, it's either a one-time tracking ability where he's approved to go to this hospital at an unscheduled time for the birth and come home, go nowhere else but the hospital. That's what I would be seeking as well, Judge. And I know you've asked this before, so I've talked to him and his wife. They have had one other kid together. She said he was helpful. He didn't pass out. He wasn't just somebody who was actually a burden on her, but he did help. So she would like him there, Judge, if it's possible.
All right, so let's start with first. State, do you have any objections to him being allowed to attend the birth of his child at Stone Oak Methodist Hospital and to remain until discharge of wife and child?
No, Judge, just as long as it's pretrial and abides by the GPS.
All right, so that will be granted. Now, the next thing, with a request for him to be able to work while on GPS.
Judge, at this time, due to the allegations against the defendant, we were opposed to any other type of GPS other than full house arrest. Yeah.
Okay, all right. This is what the court is. The court will allow him to have employment. I don't know the nature of the alleged facts of the offense other than what I see that he's been charged with. So you will be allowed to, once you're employed, to work. But I know now that a lot of employment, the way you get interviews is online. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes, Your Honor.
All
yes. Right. I think the one that he's attempting to interview with, they do want you to come in person, right? It's with Kia Worldcar Mazda for a phone representative. They basically said, come in 9.
Right, so here's the thing. If he is going to be working at a car dealership, I'm not going to allow him to be working at a dealership where he's driving around. So what would he be doing if he were to be hired? Yes.
Phone
Okay.
representative, ma'am.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Tyler Ashwell.
All right, if you're hired, what is your position? What are your duties?
I'm not too sure necessarily, but it's a phone representative. I'm guessing I'll be taking phone calls about probably price inquiries and such things.
All right, and so will you be working from home or working at the dealership?
At the dealership, hopefully.
All right. So then what I'll do is I'll allow him to go to the interview. And when is this interview?
He told me just to come in from any time from 9 to 7, Monday through Saturday, and ask for Ed.
And you said Monday through Saturday?
Monday through Saturday.
All right. So I'm going to allow him to go to the interview, and you will need to schedule a time with them. And that time needs to be, State, I know you're not in agreement, but what hours? Because I'm not going to allow him to set his hour at 7 p.m. So it's going to have to be in the morning time. And what hours?
9 to 11.
All right. So he can set his appointment anywhere from 9 to 11. And I'll allow you 30 minutes beforehand to arrive and then 30 minutes to return. Is that enough time?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Judge.
All right. And you will need to let GPS know. Are you going to be there at 9, 10, or 11? Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And then once he is employed, my mom always says, once you have the interview, usually they're going to hire you. So we'll come back if he is employed. Okay. And then counsel, if you just come in, if he ends up receiving the job and his duties are as he's telling me, I'll allow it.
Okay.
So, and I'm sorry, 9 to 11 a.m. you're gonna have to get that appointment either Monday through Thursday, not Friday and Saturday. If there's some issue where they can only do it on a Saturday or only do it on a Friday, you need to come back and let the court know that's the plan.
Yes, Judge.
All right, is there anything else?
Just one other thing, Judge, because I know it's a possibility that he does the interview, they do the background check, they see that he's charged with this, and then they say no.
Mhm.
If there are other opportunities for job interviews, but this is the one that's immediate, if he has any other possible interviews, do we need to come in again, or is he okay to schedule interviews but just tell his pretrial services officer? How would the court like us to do that?
Well, to make it easier on everybody, so people won't have to come down, counsel, if you want to include an email, include Mr. Garhan in that email, your client in that email, and include me, of course.
Of course, Judge.
And you will put down where he is seeking to have an interview. And in each of those emails, I'm going to need to know what his proposed duties are if he's hired, because there are just some things that I'm not going to allow him to do.
Of course, Judge. Understood.
All right. Is there anything else?
Not at this time, Judge.
All right. And does everyone approve of the court's plan as far as if there are different interviews that can be asked through email?
Yes, absolutely, Judge.
Not opposed, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Judge. May we be
Welcome.
excused?
All right, court is calling 2023 CR 8835, State of Texas versus Esther Diaz. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state defense?
Joseph Appelt.
And are you Esther Diaz?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, did you review the documents entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision and First Amendment Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you the same Esther Diaz who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2023 CR 8835 for the offense of harassment of a public servant on February 15, 2024 for a period of 3 years? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, stayed. Which allegation are you proceeding on?
Violation condition on or about the 28th day of February 2024 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Mr. Marie Oriana Diaz, completed the office of tampering with electronic monitoring device.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True.
All right. Are you proceeding on any other allegations?
We haven't been.
All right. Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 1, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, and sentence you up to 10 years in prison and up to $10,000 fine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find violation of condition number 1 true. Is there a proposed agreement?
Agreement in the sense that we both believe that Ms. Oriana Diaz should have some sort of treatment. We disagree about what that treatment is.
Yes, Your Honor. In other words, the agreement would be to continue her on her deferred alternate amendment conditions for some form of substance abuse treatment. But as Mr. Edelman has indicated, we don't agree on what type of treatment that should be and exactly where. We would leave that to the court, and I would like to address the court with respect to that, Your Honor.
All right, so let's address the tampering with the electronic monitoring device, and then we can address if the court is going to continue Ms. Diaz or not.
Yes, Your Honor. At the time that occurred, at the time that Ms. Diaz had the device on, she was in a, shall we say, very negative relationship with a gentleman who was the father of her now 2-month-old baby. CPS subsequently had gotten involved dealing with that situation, as well as her other 5 children. One of her children had been involved in drugs, and it has to do with, I'll give you his name, it's Domingo Herrera, who was a negative influence on the other children as well as Ms. Diaz. She has since gotten away from him. She cut the monitor off because she was dealing with the rather exigent circumstances with her oldest child, who is 16 years old. That child is now in the juvenile system because of some of her drug issues and other issues that were going on. That situation is being resolved. There is a CPS case which is open with Ms. Diaz, which she was following and being involved in with their services prior to coming to court, being in custody now for this the violation that she's pled true to. Some of the services they were recommending had to deal with relationship counseling, dealing with anger management counseling, as well as substance abuse counseling. With respect to that, she does have 6 children. The 16-year-old, actually, she's not the oldest. The 17-year-old is with her mother, which is the child's grandmother. The 16-year-old is in the juvenile system being taken care of that way. 3 of the children are with her ex-husband, and then the young 2-month-old child is in foster care right now. Her hope is to try to reunite with the 2-month-old and the other children. It's my understanding, as reported by Ms. Diaz, that CPS, that case is rolling forward, and there's some sort of a proceeding in October of this year that she's trying to meet all the requirements for their purposes. While she has been in custody, which is 110 days, Your Honor, she has completed an anger management class. She has 2 more classes to go to complete her healthy relationships class. And she's been in substance abuse counseling as well, 2 more classes, and she'll get a certificate of completion for that class too. She informs me that Mr. Herrera, she doesn't know where he is, no contact with him, doesn't want anything to do with him. It's her information through CPS that he initially began, but he has not cooperated with CPS. He hasn't done anything. And so their process, quite possibly, I haven't seen the pleadings, but knowing how they work, they may be trying to terminate his parental rights as a part of the CPS program. We're not quite sure. However, from her perspective, she doesn't want anything to do with the man at all because of the problems that he has caused her and her children.
All right. State, you're requesting what type of treatment?
Safety, Your Honor.
All right. So I have a few questions. You want to raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Esther Marie Orellana Diaz.
All right, and defense, if ever you want to jump in, feel free to jump in. All right, so what are the ages of your children?
17, 16, 14, 12, 5, and 2 months.
All right, so the 2-month-old is in foster care,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
and the 5-year-old is with your ex,
Yes.
and that is not Mr. Herrera.
No.
And the 12-year-old is,
My ex-husband. As
14?
well. As well.
and the 16-year-old,
She's in juvie.
and the 17-year-old with the grandmother.
Yes.
All right, so the 16-year-old, why is the 16-year-old in juvenile custody?
She kept running. My mom was having problems with her.
Okay, so she was with your grandmother.
Yes.
All right. Oh, I don't want to go into great detail. I'm just trying to figure things out.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
So now here's my question in defense. If you want to jump in, feel free to jump in. I don't understand how cutting off the monitor has anything to do with anything. I mean, it's not as though Mr. Herrera was monitoring her. It's not like if she's on GPS, he's monitoring her so he knows where she is. It's probation that was monitoring her.
It had
Yes.
to do with,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
it had to do with the fact that she was previously ordered to complete Alpha Home, and she couldn't do that with the monitor on. And that delves into, and it is intertwined with Mr. Herrera and the relationship that she had with him. And so she did not complete Alpha Home. She in essence left Alpha Home after 1 week.
Okay, so she was in Alpha Home on GPS
Yes, Your Honor.
and she cut the GPS monitor off.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Sorry to cut. It wasn't necessarily that way. He misunderstood. What I meant was my daughter was giving my mom problems. It wasn't necessarily because my ex-boyfriend. It was because my daughter, nobody can handle them. And they only listen when I'm there. And so I had to cut my monitor to go get my daughter.
No, you didn't have to cut your monitor off. You could have called probation and said,
I called them. My mom called them. They didn't want to do nothing. They didn't. My son's probation officer is the same probation officer for my daughter. They didn't even go look for her. Little did they know my son was even doing other things. I had to be the one keep calling and calling, and they weren't doing their job. Secondly, my daughter was going to the Westway apartments where there's a bridge, where there's a lot of homeless people.
all right, so here's the thing. I understand what you're saying about probation not doing their job, but honestly, you were not doing your job as a parent because that's why probation is in their life. And the government, honestly, even when people are juveniles, it's really not the probation's officer job to raise your children. That's your job. And the fact that your child ran away still doesn't excuse your thinking, which is, I'm going to cut off my monitor because my child ran away and my child will only listen to me. If your child will only listen to you, why are your children living with the grandmother instead of you?
Exactly. I was just trying to take my daughter back to my mom's and let her, turn herself in, do it the right way so I can turn myself in, so I can be at peace and know that she's okay while I'm doing my, doing what I have to do as a parent.
Well, let me just tell everybody, one, I don't even think she should be continued on probation. I think she should be revoked. But what I can tell you is I am not going to do the treatment that you want. It's going to be safety.
Okay, it's fine.
So, well, no, you need to listen.
Yes,
So even if I consider continuing you, it's going to be safety. So everything else is off the table. Any questions?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Any questions?
Not from the defense, Your Honor.
All right, probation, what are you requesting?
Judge, felony drug court, she was initially accepted into felony drug court and then the monitor issue happened. So then they rejected the case, it came back over. We did refer her to felony drug court. And at that point, the ADA down there opposed the reentry. I didn't get any further information on why they opposed, it was just ADA opposed. We did also do a TAP evaluation while she's been in custody, and the TAP recommended for safety. I would ask that she be given credit for the anger management course that she's taken while she's been in custody, and defer to the court in regards to treatment.
Okay. So probation wants to continue her?
Yes.
Okay. All right, this is what the court is going to do. I'll deny the motion, alternate amend conditions to extend for 2 years. We can do a referral back to felony drug court, and if not accepted, then safety.
Judge, I would like to point out that referral was just back to it as a whole.
All right.
If I'm saying the ADA opposed it, and that's why she wasn't granted, or she wasn't accepted to drug court. Otherwise, she met the requirements for it.
Who's the ADA?
It doesn't even give me that information. Judge, it does say that she met the criteria. That's all I have.
And I have counseled Ms. Diaz on how stringent and how difficult drug court is to complete. And she has informed me that she is ready, willing, and able to do whatever she needs to do.
All right, just one moment. All right, so here's my other question. Has anyone looked into if she has a CPS case, CPS has a treatment court there as well. Has anyone checked to see if they will accept her?
I have not, Your Honor.
All right. Yes.
I have a outpatient visit with the CPS worker on the 3rd. And she was telling me that if they didn't have classes for me here, that they would provide the classes for me there.
All right. So what's going to end, I can tell everybody what's going to end up happening, right? And y'all tell me if you all want to continue down this road of sending her to safety. In CPS cases, you only have a year, counsel, as you know, to get your act together for them to consider placing your children with you. Sometimes they will extend it, maybe extend it for 3 months. Most I've seen is 6 months, and that's it. So if you're not accepted into felony drug court, it's going to be very difficult for you when you're sent to safety. So I'm going to ask that she be re-referred to felony drug court, and maybe your attorney can speak to them at felony drug court and talk to the ADA and see if they're willing to reconsider. But if you're not accepted in felony drug court, you're going to go to safety.
Yes, Your Honor.
So there's a referral to felony drug court in custody. If not accepted, then safety. Is there anything else from either side?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, and just one moment. Yeah, okay. All right, good luck to you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
and I'm sorry, one more thing on the record probation. She'll receive credit for the anger management course.
I received my other 2 certificates in 2 weeks.
All right, sure.
It
Just,
should be in the system, they said.
all right, just let probation know.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Dunbar, thank you for dressing appropriately.
Is that a Rembrandt in this?
No, that's the Lord's Supper. behind him. And he has an attorney sitting on his desk. That's awesome. All right, Mr. Dunbar, if you'll unmute, please.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I think that's by Michael,
Angelo.
Michael D'Angelo, Michael,
Who did the?
yes.
Leonardo.
No, you're right, it's Leonardo da Vinci who did the
Sistine
Sing Chapel, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, if you see
That may
the,
be an original.
all right, then, if that's an original, then
Can't
your
get a
client
photo.
may have picked up another case. Because that's not supposed to be behind him.
It looks as big as the original.
Mr. Dunbar, we know that's not the original Lord's Supper. You're good.
Maybe those two originals.
Yeah. But no, you know, when I went to the Sistine Chapel, that took a lot of work.
I said that because I know you went there.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
They go, you know,
I mean, he was doing everything.
he had to do it on his back.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
You know, there was a group of 4 of them, extremely poor, but everybody was hiring them out to do different things like sculpt, paint, do buildings, do everything. All right, so what's happening on this case? Did you receive an offer?
oh, yes, ma'am. We got an offer today, so we can have a setting. I'll discuss the offer with my client and, quite sure we'll be able to resolve it.
All right, so we'll come back on July 30th. And Mr. Dunbar, are you in Bear County?
No, ma'am. I'm in Harris County, Houston, Texas.
All right, so what we'll do, if there's going to be an agreement or not an agreement, he can still appear by Zoom.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I know Houston, that drive, nobody's doing anything with the traffic.
Okay.
All right, so we will see you back on July 30th, and it'll be by Zoom, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, don't do any self-surgery. All right, have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
Judge.
All right, so this motion says that he's in the custody of the sheriff's office.
Well, he was, Judge.
All right, so
He's released.
what are we here for? Because it's not in the motion.
Judge, it's just changing partial GPS to tracking.
All right, court is calling CM 120070. Excuse me, if y'all will move towards the end. State of Texas versus David Jared Castro. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Allie Jackson.
for the defense?
Andrew Del Cueto for Mr. Castro.
And are you Mr. Castro?
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna need to keep your voice up so I can hear. So defense, you have a motion, and what is your motion?
Just to change partial GPS to tracking, Your Honor.
All right, and state, any objection?
No, Your Honor, we discussed it. This is mostly due. He was given partial originally for work, but he has to go to Dallas for work, and this is in very early stages. I only received the report this morning actually from defense counsel. That's how little the state has. So we're unopposed at this time, Your Honor.
All right, so you say unopposed at this time, but I need,
No, we're unopposed, Judge.
okay, all right. And is there a no contact with the complainant?
Yes, Judge. And we'll still have that enforced, yes.
All right, and do you all have any type of geolocation that he's not to be in?
Yeah, we can have it near her residence, Your Honor.
All right, if you all want to put that in the motion, if you all have, either side has no objections, then you write that in the motion. So it's an agreed order for tracking only, and there's going to be a geolocation, and you're not allowed to be in that location. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you go inside that location, what is going to happen is I'm going to receive a report from pretrial services, and a warrant could be issued for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. You all need to make sure that he knows which area he's not to be in.
Yes, Your Honor, of course.
And it's also going to include a no contact, of course, with the complainant. So if you're at a location and the complainant appears, you'll need to leave. Do you understand? All right. Is there anything else?
No, Your Honor. Enjoy time with your mama, Judge.
Oh, I will. Thank you so much.
That was fine.
All right. Thank you. All right. So where are we?
Your Honor, obviously, family violence is in trial and impact this morning. I was not able to confer. However, we did have an offer. I'm trying to negotiate with them to confer more on the case. There's some Padilla issues as well in this matter, Judge.
There's some what?
Padilla issues
All
So
right,
I'm
so,
waiting on consultation there as well, but if we could get another month, this is likely going to be resolved.
so where are we on the Padilla issues? Because I saw that
Judge, I have an informal telephone conference with Mr. Tullis and the MAC. I just need a formal writing, but I also need a chance to compare my notes from Mr. Tullis with the prosecutors to see if we can fine tune an appropriate plea bargain.
all right, Norma. Yes, ma'am. On this one, can you put it for July 30th for plea deadline date? All right. Do you have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right, you too.
We'll be in.